Oh, I'm sorry. What do you think? Or
It doesn't matter.
these?
Yeah, perfect, yeah. We need to think what we're going to cook with them.
Huh?
We need to think what we're going to cook with them.
Anything. Anything will be wonderful.
This is a
Okay.
fruit shop, fruit and vegetable shop in Sicily. We are buying some fruit and vegetables for my mum and dad, but also we will be leaving back for the UK in a few days. What have you found, Julie?
Do you know, I'm not altogether sure. I'm presuming it's a
Like
type
a
of
zucchini,
courgette.
yes. And we just thought we'll do a little film to show you.
Am I allowed to walk outside with these?
Yeah,
Oh, size of that.
Julie is very keen to show you the size of the melon. Look at this one.
The Whopper.
Whopper. Whopper, meaning larger than usual, is one of those words that I've learned as I've lived in the UK a long time. So larger than usual, I'll give you an example. This is a standard size knife, and something which might be a Whopper is this knife, which is considerably larger. So in the context of eggplants, clearly these are very large eggplants, Whoppers, in comparison to normal ones which we tend to use here, which are considerably smaller. So I'm back in the UK and I'm going to cook with them. I've got two meals planned, this one tomorrow and this one today. So I'll look at the size of this. I just want to give you some context. Normal knife, look at the size of this eggplant. Anyhow, I'll cook with this one today, and I'll make something which is very, very simple to do, but also it's something that you can cook for children and fool them that you're cooking burgers. As I will be cutting this into slices. Oh, it's a bit tough. And I will be making them in breadcrumbs. I'm going to slice them thicker than normal, about 1.5 centimeter, as I will be placing them in the oven first and they will shrink, and then I will shallow fry them gently in some olive oil. So literally I'm going around and making some Whopper size eggplant slices. This is a real pleasure to cook with. Not often I get this opportunity. So I've got my oven tray here, and I'll place them inside, and I'm not going to add anything, just as they are. I'll place them in the oven for 20 minutes, 180 degrees. Halfway through I'll turn them around and then I'll come back in. But in the meantime I'll make the mix for the egg and the various spices I'm going to add. We flew back home from Sicily yesterday evening, but we didn't get home until 2:30 in the morning. The funny thing is that whilst I was on the plane, I met a lovely couple who sat next to me, and we were talking about food, and I mentioned to them about my cooking channel, and Julie was sitting a couple of rows in front of me, and I was pointing to Julie as she was carrying the eggplants, and I mentioned to them the size of the eggplants. There were a couple of English people, an English couple, and I was saying to them that I was thinking what to cook with them, and I got talking about the possible recipes I was going to be making back in the UK. They were actually very interested, and I then decided to make this today, and with this one tomorrow I will cut it in half, most probably this way, and then I will remove some of the inside, and I will create like an eggplant ball. And my plan is to make some Sicilian pasta bake using Sicilian anelletti, some pasta which I brought back from Sicily, and then I'll bake it in the oven, but that's tomorrow's recipe. And the funny thing is that as I woke up this morning, that's all I could think about. How am I going to be cooking my eggplants? And I was mentioning it to Julie, and she said, I can't believe you. We've only just woken up and you're really talking about your eggplants. Anyway, I've got here 3 eggs, which I have just beaten using a fork. I'm now applying some breadcrumbs. These are dry breadcrumbs on a dish, and I will be adding a little paprika. This is entirely optional, of course, whatever you like, but we do like paprika, and also some chili flakes to give my eggplant burgers a little spice. Whopper demonstration is over, so the knives can go away. Parsley next. This is frozen. If you go fresh parsley, even better. So I'm going to be very generous, as we really like it with a lot of parsley. You can also use basil instead. This is grana padano, but as I often say, you can use any cheese you like. Pecorino is also very good, or any hard Italian cheese. Quantity is entirely up to you, but I'm going to use a couple of the teaspoons. I think that in dishes like this, the parsley and the cheese is what makes a big difference. And of course a little pinch of salt, not a lot, as the cheese is already quite salty, and pepper. Pepper you can be a little bit more generous. It is ready. I'll just mix it together, and all I've got to do now is wait for my eggplants to partly cook. Of course you can make this with almost anything, chicken, beef, pork. With eggplants, the reason why I pre-cook them in the oven almost all the way is because I want them to fry for as little as possible, and bearing in mind how thick they are, if I was them to leave them raw, it would take a long time to cook, and what would happen is that the top and the bottom layer of my eggplant potentially could burn, unless I was to use lots of oil. And I'm not keen in using lots of oil. I want to do this as healthily as I possibly can, so bearing in mind that they are partly cooked, I will use a little oil. Anyway, they've been out for about 5 minutes, so they're slightly cooler, and I'm keen not to cook the egg, so I'll just place them inside with the egg first. I'll give them a good push with my fork, and I can turn it around. These eggplants, by the way, they are quite fragile. Can you see that the middle is coming away already? Another reason why I did cut them quite thick. Whereas actually, if you were to use the long ones, the ones in the shape of the egg, they are more dense, and you would not have this problem. Not that it's a problem, because it's not the end of the world. Anyway, they are soaked in egg, and because they are hot, obviously, that will work even better. And I'll move it across to my breadcrumbs. Now here is another tip. Ensure that you pat it down firmly, so that when you fry them, you don't end up losing a lot of your breadcrumbs. So this is ready. I'll move them back into my original tray so that I can save on the washing up. I'll see they're coming apart a little bit, not to worry. I'll give them a little shake, and I'll do the rest. This is a little bit better. And here comes the nice part, as I have partly cooked my eggplants. So I'm going to apply some olive oil at the bottom of a frying pan, and I'll turn this on. I waited until the oil got lovely and hot, and if you actually move your pan, you can see that it moves almost like water. So that is a good indication that has reached a good temperature. And that is when I'm going to start adding my eggplants. I've got enough for a couple of rounds here, so I'm going to place a couple of big ones and a smaller one over here. At the moment my temperature is on maximum, but I'll turn it slightly down, medium high, and they won't take long at all to cook, so you'll see what I mean. A couple of minutes per side, and they will become lovely and crusty and golden in colour. And if I was to pierce it with my fork, you can see that it's going through nicely. A couple of minutes in the scheme of things is not time at all. I can turn them around now, and there it is. Look, this is really good. I'll do them all now. Perfect. And the last one. So a couple of more minutes, and I'll do the second run, and then I'll see you once they're all cooked. Well, I lied. The temptation to show you is too much. Here, they're done. You can see they're perfect. So they're a little bit fragile, doesn't matter. And you can go here. This one looks really nice. Let's have a look both sides. Oh yes, wonderful. Of course you will have to top up the olive oil, because they will have dried up, but it's a lot better than deep frying them, which I never like. So just a little bit more olive oil, and off again. And of course it cannot be a tortellino meal if I do not get to use any of the leftover ingredients. So breadcrumbs mixed with the remaining egg, and I'll make a little omelette at the end. A little olive oil, as I said, and here is my omelette. It would be such a shame to waste this, literally. Only takes us 2 minutes. And as my pan is really hot, it takes no time at all, literally. It's been just a minute, and another minute, and it's ready. Let's have a look. Perfect. And it's also more satisfying because it's no waste. Let's try the eggplant. It's very hot now. God, there's only one word for it. Deliciosa. Make it, and you can use any eggplants you like. Really, really delicious. And I would strongly recommend to chop them nice and thick. They're really, really good. Ciao, ciao. Buon appetito.